God's plans are always better than your own. And his rhythm for your life most of the time it looks different than the rhythm of the rest of the world. People usually wait for a specific season or holiday before they start doing something. They wait for an outside trigger or an outside notification to tell them, okay, now it's time to do this, time to pull my Christmas tree out, it's time for me to go on vacation. Work tells them what to do, and all of these different things. It's like abiding by fake rules that keep you going along with the crowd. They keep you in like a herd of people, because then everybody is kind of doing the same thing. And what I like to do is, if you've been tuning into this channel now for the past year, is I talk a lot about God's rhythms for your life and how different it looks, but how liberating it is, because you actually end up getting more, you end up experiencing more, you end up enjoying more of life, you end up cultivating deeper relationships, you just end up with a much fuller life when you tap into God's rhythm for your life, because then there is nothing from the outside that tells you, oh, this is now I can do this. Now I have the, authority to do this. Oh, now it's okay for me to do this. Oh, I better change and do this. So there's all these different things that happen where somebody else is saying, okay, now it's time. Now you can retire. You reached a certain age. Now you can move. Now you can do this. Like, we get caught up in all of these fake boxes that tell us how to live and what we should be doing. And when you realize that none of that even matters, you blow a hole in that. It doesn't matter if you're 20 or you're 60. Like, you can have clear mind, you can have a healthy body. My body's healthier in my 40s than it was in my 20s, because everybody says, I wish I knew then what I know now. And man, is that true? Because did I have a full life? Yeah. Did I waste a bunch of time and money? Yeah. I did, obviously before kids. A single life is different. What a waste you do. You're wasting so much time and energy, and you're drinking and you're partying and all these things. And I guess it's just part of the deal. You can't look back, you can't live in regret. It's just part of the process. It's part of the journey. But once you're out of that, which clearly I'm out of that, and I don't really have the desire to drink alcohol. Like, I'm such a little drinker. Like, I don't even, sometimes we're like, oh, I just want to sit down and have a drink or relax and have one. I don't have that desire at all. Like, it's completely gone. The only time I do it is when I do like a Christmas party or a holiday event, sometimes, which is twice a year, and I'll have a few glasses of champagne and have some fun and, let loose a little. You got to let loose, but that doesn't mean you have to be a drunk and you don't have to drink alcohol. You're poisoning your body when you're doing that. So although you may think, oh, this is so fun, I'm having fun, you're making your body more susceptible to sun damage when you drink. You're also destroying your liver, which plays a huge role in how you produce toxins. You're causing your lymphatic system to be backed up. You're making more inflammation. You're taking in more unnecessary calories without nutrients. You're destroying your skin. The sun's not destroying your skin. The drinking in the sun is destroying your skin. And on top of that, if you're putting sunblock or you're spraying like the DEET mosquito spray, you are absorbing all of that. So now are you not only making yourself more susceptible, you're absorbing it from the exterior. The sun's baking it into your body. And then you're drinking alcohol, which is just wrinkling up, dehydrating, sucking all the moisture out. Just stop. You can enjoy life without being wasted, without alcohol. You can enjoy life so much more without alcohol. Like, it's just a mindset change, and you can have lots of fun and be clear-minded. It's actually a beautiful thing, because you notice things that maybe you didn't notice before. And you feel better, because then you're not hungover and you're not lethargic and you're not like, oh, I have all this weight I have to get off, and your arms aren't getting chubby and your your breathing isn't bad, you don't have stomach problems as much. Like, you can clear up a lot of issues if you just cut the alcohol. I know people that enjoy glasses of wine here and there, and whatever, that's obviously fine. I'm talking about like it's summer, now we can just drink and lay around in the pool and bake the sunscreen on. You're hurting yourself. And you're hurting your kids if you're putting them in a bunch of Banana Boat 70 and spraying that all on their body. So the point of these talks is like to wake up. Obviously, you wake up on little things that maybe you're doing that you don't realize you're doing. You come out of a slumber of a way of thinking or a way of life, or just things that you used to do, habits that you used to have. This is to like snap out of it. And at some point, we all get to that time in our life where we wake up a little bit. We're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this is what's causing my problems. Maybe I'm causing all of the problems. Maybe it's not my spouse, but it's me. We spend so much time complaining about other people, what they did to us and what they're doing to us. And I mean, even I'm guilty of that too. My husband and I we're totally different. People say opposites attract. Well, they also fight because you're opposite. Everything is a conflict because one person sees it one way and the other person sees it the other way. And so was there an attraction? Yes. But is there also conflict? Yes. Some people say I married my best friend. Well, that might be really easy because then you're just two peas in a pod going in the same direction. But there's all kinds of different marriages. So you just work it. It's work. It doesn't matter. Every marriage has work anyways. So there's going to be strife at some point. There's going to be issues at some point in your marriage. One of the most difficult things that I've learned is not sharing specific or personal problems, especially marriage problems, with people who I think are my friends, because most of the time they're not your friends. They don't want to hear about it. They have their own marriage problems to do, unless you're confiding in them for a solution, and they might be like a mentor. Now it's good to have like mentors, older couples that maybe you reach out to and you're like, you know what, I'm dealing with this specific problem in marriage. You've been married for 50 years. What do you suggest I do? And of course there's always two sides of the story. There's your side and then there's their side. But if you're following it and lining up with biblical truths, there should be one answer. It shouldn't be as blurry as people make it to be. The blurriness comes from our own selfishness, our selfish desires, our pride, our arrogance, things that we need to work on. That's where that blurriness comes from. So, and every person has areas that they need to work on. Sometimes you have to give each other grace, and sometimes you need help. Sometimes you have to reach out to somebody you need help. Then it's okay. Like, you're reaching out, hey, what makes your marriage good? And one of the biggest things I think is having honesty and truth and respect, and understanding that each of you are individual people. Like, you are not your spouse. Your spouse is not you. He or she has different life experiences. Everybody in your household is having a different experience in life at this time, not just you. Your kids are having an experience, their minds are shaping and forming, your spouse is having an experience, so it's not just about you. So everybody is interpreting things differently. So what you could do is say, okay, well, I'm going to do my part. What's my part? Well, for example, my husband's working a lot right now, and so I know that he feels good if he comes home and there's food in the fridge and the fruit's cut, just limiting things that he would do because he's the cook. He's the grill master. But we've also taught my daughter to cook and bake, and my son. So if we need breakfast, I ask them, hey, can you make some protein pancakes with a side of eggs? Sure, Mom. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. That way I can focus on my strengths because, can I make eggs? Sure, if you want them burnt, I can make them. I'm just not really great in the kitchen. It's not my thing. For a long time, I felt ashamed, like, well, I should be this cook, or I should be this. And because my husband's Hispanic, he was raised with the women cooking. So for him, he took it as I didn't care because I just wasn't good at it. It wasn't something I was raised with. I wasn't allowed in the kitchen, and I wasn't taught, so I'm not really good at it. And there was a time in our marriage where I spent money on all these gadgets. I'm like, well, I'll go get a crock pot, and I'll get a bread maker, and a panini maker, and all these things that you have to store and keep to try to make stuff. And it really just wasted time and money. And then I had to clean all that stuff, put it away. It wasted a bunch of time, and I wasn't good at it anyways. Like, it's just not my thing. But man, I can run a tight ship. I can handle the finances, clean up the house, make sure everybody's, fed, prayed, school's done. All those other things just cook for me. Or you're going to eat fresh fruit and fresh veggies and snacks and as easy as possible. That doesn't mean I can't do it. It's just not my strength. So once you understand, okay, this isn't my spouse's strength, you're not beating them up for it. You're not punishing them for it. You're not mad at them for it. You're just accepting the fact that this isn't their strength. It's not their thing. Okay, well, you married someone that's not their thing. You make up for it in other areas, So you just find this common ground between the two, and the common ground is based off of respect. You lean into the strengths of the other person, and you lean into your own strengths, and that makes a peaceful household. And everybody understands, hey, we're all different. There's nothing wrong. One of the things that I do with my kids is there's no conversation off the table. You want to talk about whatever, we're going to discuss it, because they need to know. They're curious. You have to be open and willing to discuss things in a way that is understanding, and explain things, because it's just part of life. It's part of keeping respect between each other, and you're respecting the age that child is at, that if they're asking specific questions about something, you're in a position to answer. And normally those questions are odd, and it takes you, it's at the wrong time. You're like doing laundry or something, and your kid's asking about whatever, hair somewhere, and you're like, okay, well, or whatever it is, and you just have to answer it and keep going. So this keeps like a respectful communication in the house. You're always willing to discuss and communicate. That's different than yelling over somebody to try to get your point across, and you're, screaming at them, or you're dominant and you listen to me. That's totally different. A healthy home, no matter the space, and now we're in a smaller space than we were, but a healthy home is to make sure that everybody has their own mental space to breathe. Everybody has their own personal space. You're not crammed up against each other all the time. And part of that is, as moms, is if your house is feeling crammed, get rid of some stuff. You're the one in charge of that. I mean, 99.9% of the time, it's the wife. It's not the husband. He's not bringing in vases from Home Goods. Unless you're gay. Don't get mad at that, but that's really the thing, is usually it's the wife. She's bringing in all of that stuff. So you're the one bringing it in, and you're the one allowing the clutter to build up in the house. Don't get mad at everybody else if you're allowing it. So if your family or your kids are feeling, suffocated, or they're just like, they're overly stimulated, they need personal space, they need to breathe. How many posters they have taped up on their wall? They might think this is cool, but it could actually be triggering a lot of anxiety. Stuff everywhere, clothes everywhere, piles everywhere. They open their closets, teens, stuff is falling out. My teenage son is so organized that if you touch one thing and move it, he didn't like that. He likes it organized and clean. And I love that, because a lot of teenagers, they just have junk everywhere and they think it's acceptable, but they're learning it from somewhere. You're teaching it to them that this way of life is okay, that sloppiness is okay, that having so much and then whining, I can't find this, is okay, that having drawer full of cosmetics to make yourself feel good. I'm not saying wearing makeup is bad, but you get what I'm saying, like a whole vanity full of half-used cosmetics, and then buying more because there's a new thing out. Like, you're teaching them this. They're finding it somewhere. They're from you or from school, the world, whatever. But you have the authority to say, hey, we don't live this way. We don't just overly consume and live with a bunch of stuff pouring out of our closets and pouring out of our drawers, because the side effect of that is crankiness, is behavioral issues. It is lack of self-control. If things get too messy and too out of control, kids, and you grow up, you're like, I don't even know where to start. You're so overloaded that you don't even know where to start. So you close the door and just leave it, walk away and do something else. You have to get control over these things, because your environment plays such a major role in the mindset, in the perspective, in the outlook of life, that the experience that everybody's having. The environment plays such a major role. And so if the kid's in depression Bring some light and plants into their room. A pet maybe, something that they can care for and love for, love. Those are all really great things, but tighten up your ship. Figure out what you're allowing into your house. Here's the other thing. What TV shows are you allowing to come through your house? Because you're allowing an atmosphere to come through. I'm not even following people who are showing up on Instagram with all of their nasty garbage Halloween decor, because I don't want that flowing through. I'm not interested in seeing your, witch things and skulls and demonic potions and Summerween. I'm not interested in that. And to me, that's not fun. To me, it's nonsense. It's a waste of money, and you're engaging in darkness, and then you're calling it fun, and you're bringing it into your house, and you are allowing that into your children's minds because it's fun. You're not thinking clear. You're deceived is what you are. And that's the problem is when we live in so much deception, we don't see things as what they are. We see them as how the world tells us they are. And when the world says, it's time to do this and it's fun to do this, then we all of a sudden be like, well, it's okay, it's fun. Like we become numb to the reality that it's not, that you're actually allowing wickedness to come through your house and torment your family. And that could be in any different ways. I'm not talking about physical torment. Hanging up witch hats in your house might not be, punching you in the face physically, but what you're doing is you're aligning yourself up with the physical resemblance of what the darkness does. So you're basically inviting and saying, okay, this is okay because I'm allowing it in my house. And then you wonder why your kids are having nightmares, can't sleep. Sleep paralysis is a big one for kids. That's a demonic thing. Sleep paralysis. I had it when I was little and it was terrible. The only thing that helped me in my sleep paralysis was saying, even if I had to whisper, I would say Jesus really quietly and it would go away. But I'm telling you, that's a real thing that kids deal with. And it has to do with what the parents are allowing and bringing into their house. Through TV, there was no social media back then, but through TV, social media, phone, music, what are you allowing in the atmosphere that you can't see? So those are things you got to get under control, because it doesn't matter the size of your house. It matters what you're doing in the walls of your house. It matters what's happening in the walls of the house. And if you can't gain control and you can't run a tight ship and say, hey, I'm using my authority as not only the parent, but as who I am in Christ and who we are as a family to fix this ship and to change this and to not allow these things, then you're walking with, you're basically walking in darkness, because you're not walking in the light of truth. The light of truth says your house should be full of peace and joy, prosperity. You should be speaking wise words. You should have discernment. There should be laughter. There shouldn't be strife and chaos and sickness. If all of those things are happening in your house, strife, chaos, sickness, unrest, people can't sleep, somebody's always getting hurt, things are breaking in the house, you better start looking at what you're bringing in. What are you allowing in? What music are you playing? What's going through the frequencies of the house? The atmosphere. What shows are you watching? What books are you reading? What games are you playing? You got a hidden Ouija board somewhere that nobody knows about, or that your kids brought in? You better start checking the closets. And I know this sounds really bizarre. The reason why I'm starting to bring this up is because we are seeing more people starting to talk about Halloween. If you look at one of my videos from last year, it clearly explains why I don't engage in Halloween anymore. And really the major conviction that I had when that light bulb moment finally went off in me, and I was just like, what am I doing? It brought me to my knees. I mean, I was in tears. I was heartbroken over what I was allowing into my kids' minds, and whatever. Not just that, the pounds of candy. So it's like, whoa, why are they sick right before the holidays and during the holidays? Because you're pumping them with a bunch of junk and garbage, candy, for what? Really think about it. You're dressing your kid up for fun. You're bringing them outside in the dark for Halloween. This is the night that witches and warlocks, you don't believe it, well, that's on you. This is the night when all of that stuff happens. It brings the wicked and the occult world into the third quarter for them to finish up by the end of the year, right? So all of it has meaning. None of it's by accident. Why are you dressing up? Why are there things? And, you can debate me on this or whatever you want. I'm not going to debate it because I already made up my mind and did my own. I already know. Then you think, and then I'm giving my kid all this garbage candy. Where's the candy coming from? Where's Hershey's coming from? Where's Milky Way coming from? Who's making it? Labor camps for some kids? What's ingredient? What are they consuming? How do I know the person who gave it to them has good intentions? Like, think about it. Then you're getting all this candy. You're like, well, I'm only letting them have one a day. Okay, one little candy a day for the next 30 days. You just destroyed their whole immune system. Why are they sick? Now they got to go to the doctors. Never get shots. I mean, you're doing it. You're allowing it. You're engaging in nonsense. Why? Because the world says we do this. We waste money on Halloween. We dress our kids up and we do it for fun. And then we eat a bunch of junk candy and make them sick and wonder why they're acting out and why they don't feel good. Because it's fun. I mean, wake up, parents. Like, wake up. This is part of the whole simplifying your life and not engaging in ridiculous things. Wasting time, wasting money, engaging in things that don't matter. And not just engaging in it, allowing it, coming into agreement with it, saying, this is okay. This is how we live. You know, for me, it's not okay to not make your bed in the morning. I know that doesn't make you a bad person, and sometimes you're not going to have time to make your bed, but the habits are the habits. For me, it's a part of not that I call him son, but I'm telling you, this is part of you taking care of your space, because as you get older, you're going to have to take care of much bigger things. As a man, men have to take care of much more pressuring things. So if they can't fold their blanket and fluff their pillow and take 5 minutes to do that, you know, you're teaching them. It's not just the bed making. You're teaching him a strong morning routine, but you're teaching him or her, you know, you're teaching them a system, and you're teaching them principles, and you're teaching them to care for what they have. And that's a big deal. Caring for what you've been given or what you've purchased. You know, that's why taking care of a pet is so important for kids, because they're caring for something. They're sacrificing their own time for something else or someone else. And so you're teaching them these really strong habits so they can grow up and not allow ridiculous things. Like, yeah, the bed might not be made once in a while, but if it was a everyday thing for a month, well, that's a habit. The habits are basically telling you who you are. You might think, my goals are telling me who I are, but those goals are intentions. Habits is what is showing. You know, when somebody has an unhealthy eating habit, that means it's the same thing that you're doing every single day. It shows in your body. There's no way around it. You can't say that you eat healthy when your body looks like junk. You can't do it. It's like if you have a habit of smoking, it shows in your face. That's your habit. Now, if you were to smoke one cigarette in your life, obviously it wouldn't do that. So it's the habits. Same thing with frivolous, ridiculous spending, you know. And anyways, these talks go in all different directions, but it's just kind of where God leads it. Like, it just comes out. Sometimes these are subjects that people don't think about, and nobody's really, you know, discussing about. I've taken a lot of heat for talking about my stance on Halloween on social media, and whatever. I stand behind it. And my goal is to please God and to help wake people up, wake them and shake them, so they could live a freer, fuller life. If that's not you and you don't want that, then that's fine. I'm not mad at you for it. It's just some of us need to be slapped around a little bit. Like, I needed to be slapped around a little bit, because the little bit that's like, oh, well, it's okay. It's just a little bit. Oh, well, okay. It's just a little bit. Then you're always tolerating. Even if you're allowing something just a little bit, you're tolerating that. You're allowing that in your life. And when you allow and you tolerate little things, they turn into big things. It always does. It always does. And then you realize, well, how did it get this way? I mean, think about everything in history. How did this happen? Well, it was a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. And all of a sudden, you look back and you're like, well, how did this happen? How do I have a mountain $100,000 in debt? Well, or how do I have $100,000 in credit card debt? Not me, but, well, it was a little bit. You spend a little bit all the time. A little bit here, a little bit there. That's how it happened, you know. How did I put on 50 pounds this year? Well, you had a little bit extra every day. You ate a little bit. You stopped at the drive-thru once a week. You know, it's the little things that destroy, that basically change our life. 1 cigarette a day, every single day, a little bit of weed every day. You're destroying brain cells. Well, how am I forgetting things? Now, I know there are people who smoke weed for different reasons, and it's great as a medicinal thing. This isn't about that. I'm all mad about it. But you get what I'm saying. It's the little things every day that turn into big things. And then we wake up one day and we're like, well, how did this happen? Well, that's exactly how it happened. It was a little bit that you allowed into your life every single day. So you got to take a stance on, I'm not allowing this anymore. I'm not going to live in clutter. I'm not going to live with my past. I'm not going to live, you know how many people are living dragging their past, like a big old heavy garbage bag. They're dragging their past all over the place. Heavy, dragging it, complaining about it, talking about it. It's not even there anymore. Yeah, you might still be dealing with some of the residual of that, but the past is in your imagination. You're the one making it real. It's not even there anymore. Move on. You got to move on. And people, frankly, are getting sick of hearing about it. Like, yes, you might still be in the residual of a past problem. We are still in the residual of our trucking company taking a really big hit. But I'm pretty sure I complained about it enough to everybody. Nobody wants to hear about it anymore. It is what it is. If somebody asks about it, sure, I'll share them the details as far as, they're curious about the industry. But chronically complaining about a past that I had experienced, we all have experienced something. How many people do you know that are in their 40s who are complaining about their childhood? Get over it. Most people have had a tough childhood. It's somewhere, some way. And a lot of times, like, if you grew up, I'm not saying some are easier than, some are horrific, yes. And some it's traumatizing and you can't get over it because it was so traumatic. And sometimes that childhood maybe lingered into adulthood. Like maybe you have a manipulative parent and it's still going on. You're allowing it because once you get past a certain age and you're an adult, you're allowing who can speak into your life. So if that person who was verbally abusive when you were young, okay, you were a child, you couldn't do anything about it. Now you're an adult, they're still verbally abusive to you. You are allowing that to come into your life. You're answering the phone. You're keeping the relationship open. You didn't put up the boundaries. They still think it's okay. Again, it's not your fault. Like they're doing it, but you're allowing it. So who's going to change? Are they going to change after 40 years? Or are you going to start putting up boundaries and say, no, I'm not going to allow this in my life. Enough is enough. Block, not answering. Go away. See ya. Have a good life. Love you. Bye. You have to be the one to change. And you have to be the one to walk in the authority of who you are. Who God made you to be. Quit, you walk in that authority. Walk upright. This is your life. God has you here for a reason. Not to complain your way through life and be beat up and a victim and let people walk all over you and abuse you and use you. Not for you to abuse yourself. Not for you to continue on old habits. This is why he says you can't put new wine in old wineskin. You got to get some new wineskin. So you have to renew these things. And as difficult as it is, and as much as it feels like a sacrifice at the time, and you might be, oh, I'm hurting their feelings. Get over it. They'll get over it, and keep moving in what God has called you to do. Run your race. Get your home in order. Get your thoughts in order. Get your words in order. Get what you spend your money on in order. Get who you're engaging your time with in order. Get your life in order. Now's the time. There's no 10 years from now I'm going to do it. You may not be here in 10 years. But your kids will be, so it's like you got to do it now and you got to do it for them. You better show up as your best self now. Because that's functioning as your highest self. Showing up as your highest self as much as you can, day in and day out. It's not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to be your best self every day. Some days you're going to feel like junk. But you can still show up with a good attitude. You can still show up with joy and gratitude. Even if you got cramps or you're in pain, you can still do things that produce good fruit, no matter what season you're in life. And you have to be the one to make those changes. All right, you can see my arm's dropping, so it's getting tired. So I gotta go. Talk to you later.